Hello BabyQueers and welcome back to my channel. It is time for another installment of neurodivergent memes because somehow I don't pay attention for 2 seconds and then I suddenly have way too many saved up again. So we need to do it again. But you know the drill. Before we get started, go grab something to drink, grab some tea, also water, or whatever else you like to drink. And then we'll get started once you're hydrated. Are you hydrated? Good. Let's go. Actual image of what's inside my brain. Don't be awkward, self-talk, puns, memes, 5,000 hypothetical arguments I'll never have, song lyrics and movie quotes, don't trip over stuff. Okay, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Okay, listen. Who gave you permission to portray me this accurately? You know? Because I mean, it's not just don't trip over stuff, it's generally just don't run into stuff, like tables and other objects, door frames, you know, stuff like that. Puns and memes, constantly, same as song lyrics and movie quotes. That's like all I want to answer, really, because somehow you always have like a fitting one, or like a fitting song to fit a certain situation. And the whole don't be awkward, I feel like it takes up such a big part of our brain, but doesn't even work. Like, we tell ourselves not to be awkward and just be normal, right? But I'm still pretty sure it doesn't work. I hope you're more successful at that than me, if you want to seem normal, but I am having a very hard time with it. When the rules of literally any card game are explained to me. Oh yeah, new games that are like complicated. So bad. So bad. Literally, by the time you've gotten to rule 2, I've already forgotten half of rule 1 because that's just too much, and then it just takes so long for me to learn a game, which is just frustrating because if you just like want to play something to have fun, that'd be so cool, right? And it can be so nice, but then it takes you forever to learn a game, and then it's just frustrating. Oh well. How I assume the rest of my day will go when my keys and phones are in the first place I look. Yeah, okay, is betting your day, or like being like, okay, if this thing goes well, or if I find my keys the first thing, then the rest of the day will go well. Is that a neurodivergent thing? Or just, is it just something we very commonly do? Because I feel like being like, okay, if this one little thing goes right, then the rest of my day has to go well too. It's kind of wishful thinking, but still, it kind of helps, I guess. Getting diagnosed with ADHD as an adult feels like being told you suck at Mario Kart your whole life, and then finding out your game generates 40 times more banana peels than it's supposed to. Oh, so frustrating. I haven't played Mario Kart since I was a kid, and then I played it recently. Holy shit, I'm very much not great in general, but the banana peels are so frustrating. They're just so frustrating. Oh my god. But I guess because you keep tripping over things that other people don't seem to be tripped by, and I don't mean like actually tripping and falling on your face, just like running into hurdles to getting things done that somehow don't seem to be there for other people, and then you realize that there's a reason for that. Oh well. Okay, honestly, bring back the habits that made you happy as a child. There's no reason you should ever have to give up harmless things that bring you joy. You don't have to age out of having fun, finger paint, write mediocre fanfiction, and questionable poetry, put chocolate chips in your waffles, sing in the bath, and while working in the yard, and while washing your hands. Hammer tunelessly on a piano, spin in circles until you fall down, climb a tree. Just because you're now in charge of your life doesn't mean you're expected to give up on the things that make your life feel worth living. And not really neurodivergent specifically, but the reason I wanted to include it here is because I feel like a lot of neurodivergent people get told that their interests, like their special interests or their hyperfixations, are childish, because apparently it's seen as weird if you're like super excited about something that seems really trivial to other people, whether that's a game or being like super excited about a certain type of animal is also just kind of seen as childish, which I don't get. But honestly, generally, if it makes you happy and it's harmless, why wouldn't you do it? And why would you judge other people for doing it? It still doesn't make sense to me. But anyways, if something makes you happy, go do more of it. You know, because honestly, don't we all need more things in our life that bring us joy? Okay, I'll give it to you now so I don't forget. No, give it to me later so I don't lose it now. ADHD to ADHD conversation. But literally, it do be like that. It just do be like that. It kind of makes sense because I also want to get things done immediately because I know otherwise I will forget. But then if the other person has ADHD and is going to lose something, if it's like an object that we'll need at some point. Honestly, I told a friend of mine where I've hidden birthday presents. It's not like she doesn't have ADHD and will also forget, but I told someone, and just telling someone actually kind of helps me remember. I'm not sure that makes sense. Because then my brain's like, well, now you don't need to remember it anymore, so now we will remember it. Which is such an asshole move. Come on, what are you doing, brain? My ADHD self. Hating being told what to do, but needing external accountability to get things done. Oh, but literally, I hate having people tell me what to do. Unless I want them to tell me. And sometimes at the same time. Literally. It's kind of just such a fine balance of having that accountability without actually being told what to do. You know, which like especially when it comes to work tasks is really difficult. Like if you have certain, like several areas that you technically need to work on. And then since it's work, it all just kind of seems urgent because you know everything needs to get done. And then when someone tells you that, okay, this is one area is more important right now, it doesn't work for me. I can't get my brain to just focus on that and blur out everything else and just like ignore all the other tasks that need to be done. I have such a hard time doing it. Oh well. Okay, being bored because there's nothing to do. Or being overwhelmed because there's too much to do. But again, how can it go from I'm too incredibly bored to oh my god, I'm overwhelmed, there's too much to do. Even legit, if it's just like one thing you need to do, but it's something you know you have a hard time doing, then it already feels too much. And then you can just go from being bored to being so overwhelmed, while simultaneously still being bored because you're still not doing the thing you need to do, the one that overwhelms you. So you're just kind of bored, but you're overwhelmed at the same time. Or you just switch back and forth, and it's so frustrating. What is going on? Me, excited to read my new book, my ADHD. I bought a new book like a month ago. I read 2 or 3 pages because I was really excited. I haven't touched it in like 2 or 3 weeks. You know, so that's all I'm gonna say. The best thing my autism diagnosis has given me is the ability to say no. I am not doing anything anymore that makes me uncomfortable. I don't need to push through discomfort to make other people happy. No more saying yes out of guilt. It feels good. I believe you. I believe you that it feels good. I'm gonna be honest. I wish I was there. I wish I was there. So, you know, when you do this, because on occasion, obviously, yes. Like honestly, even just, okay, because as a young person, you probably can relate. People telling you that you should enjoy going out and going to parties and going to discos and whatever, and then making, or like trying to guilt trip you into going, because it's like, come on, you have to go out and have fun, like you have to live your life. But you know it's gonna make you super uncomfortable. Like bars can actually kind of be okay, but it's also like really loud, but especially like discos and stuff, can't do it, won't do it. But even just saying no to that and making it very clear to people that I don't enjoy doing it has felt really nice. It's felt really good. trying to explain how my ADHD brain works to non-ADHD people. You look insane, and they're not following, probably. They're not following, and you, honestly, sometimes I think explaining how your brain works will help, because then people will know how your brain works. But then the issue of they either just don't believe you, or they just think you're making up excuses comes in, so I usually don't bother to explain. I don't know, it's kind of understandable if you do, but I would also kind of understand if you don't. I think it kind of just depends on the situation, you know? Holding the thought in your mind when trying not to interrupt the conversation whilst hoping the topic doesn't change. And then realizing you were concentrating on your thoughts so hard to not lose it that you weren't actually listening anymore. So you don't even know what the conversation is. You don't know if it's still like appropriate to say the thing. But you don't want to interrupt, because that would also just kind of be rude. Because you know you want to know what the other person wants to say if it's like a conversation you're interested in having. Yeah, ADHD to ADHD conversation is kind of easier, because then you keep interrupting each other, but you don't feel rude for doing it, because you know the other person's gonna do it too, and you know they're also gonna forget their thought if they don't interrupt you. So it's just kind of easier. But with neurotypicals, it's just seen as so rude. Like, especially when you were younger and you interrupted older people. Oh my god. Oh my god. Literally. I have a very bad memory. I don't remember how often I got told off, but probably too often. Me staring at someone after they've repeated the same thing for the 5th time and I still can't hear them. Well, I think we've all been there. And like today, I was talking about a recipe with someone and I didn't even hear what I thought they said something, but I just couldn't hear it. But my brain in that moment was like, okay, this one ingredient would be really good with that. And it's actually what she said. I don't know how my brain did it, because I didn't actually hear what she said, because my thoughts were too loud in that moment. How does that happen? How does it... Actually, it's kind of funny if that happens, because then at least you kind of seem like you heard the other person. I guess, I don't know. Amount of time, energy, and worry I spent thinking about a task versus the time I spent getting it done. But is there any other way to do this? Be honest. Be honest. Is there another way to do this? I don't think so. Sometimes, after I've completed a task that wasn't on my to-do list, I add it and then cross it off for the free dopamine boost. And then get really sad when it doesn't work, because sometimes it really works, because then it's like, okay, I've did this thing, so now we can get other things done, because we all know we don't get the thing done we intended to do in the first place. It might get done eventually, but it usually takes a while because we get other things done in the process. So adding it to your to-do list and then crossing it off, because you actually did do the thing, you achieved something, right, is a good thing. But then if it doesn't give you the dopamine boost, and then you're just so sad that it didn't work that you don't do anything anymore. It's kind of a it can both happen. I kind of wish the free dopamine boost would just happen every time, you know? Okay, why call it ADHD when it's literally too much attention when you're hyper-focusing? Why not call it attention surplus syndrome? Hi, I'm Jacob, and I have ASS. What can I do to help you instead of doing my tasks? Yeah, literally. It's not a deficit issue, it's more of a regulation issue in general, right? Because sometimes we have too much of it, and sometimes we just have way too little of it. And we can't really pick and choose. And we can't really just be like, okay, this thing is important, I need to get it done, and focus on it. Which, trust me, is way more frustrating to us than it is to you from the outside, seeing that we're not doing the thing you told us to do. Because we live with it every day, all day, and sometimes it seems fine because you're so used to it, and it's just like, you went to the kitchen to do the dishes, but then suddenly you just like took out the trash or something, or did something else, like wrote your shopping list, which is great, which also like needs to get done technically, but it's not the thing you meant to do, but you still did something, right? it's just really difficult to get our brain to focus on the thing we're meant to do, or that's important in that moment, because importance doesn't really work that way. You know, it has to be urgent enough. There has to be enough pressure for you to get the thing done. Like, trust and believe, ADHD people are going to be able to clean super fast if their parents going to come over and they don't want to deal with comments. Then they're suddenly going to clean so fast and like clean everything, but not really being able to do it like gradually over time. Like doing your dishes regularly. Who does that? Like, who doesn't just let it collect until they're so frustrated by it because they don't have space anywhere anymore that they have to get it done? You know, because otherwise they can't even prep food anymore, and then at some point it just kind of works. But how do you just do it regularly, you know? Okay, hacking ADHD by absolutely blasting club music into my ears at a volume that would terrify God, and drinking a medically unadvisable amount of caffeine just to write an email I've been avoiding for 2 weeks. Listen, whatever helps. Club music would not help, but blasting music into your ears, like with headphones, so loudly that it kind of drowns out your thoughts, really helps. It really helps. Now, what kind of music works best for you is gonna be different. For me, it's not even like the same every day. Like, I wish there were like a few songs or a certain type of song that I knew would always work, but sometimes it doesn't. Like, sometimes they kind of like chill lo-fi instrumentals work best, but sometimes they just frustrate me so much. You know, just figure out what works for you, and, you know, have a few things to pick and choose from, because not everything is gonna work every day. Legend has it that if you stand in front of a mirror, light a candle, turn off all the lights and chant "I'm autistic" 3 times, a Karen with an unvaccinated autistic 5-year-old son named Zayden will appear and scream, "You don't look autistic," and throw essential oils in your face. Now, why you would want to do this, I don't know, because it seems way more terrifying than Bloody Mary. But if you want to try it out, go for it, I guess, but I also don't advise you to do this. Please don't. Really, that does not seem like a good idea. Are you an everything on my plate must be mixed autistic, or an everything must be on separate plates because if my food touches, I will die autistic? Because sometimes there literally is no middle ground. Sometimes there is no middle ground. We didn't used to have all this ADHD and autism and stuff. I think what you mean is that people used to go undiagnosed and get absolutely no help and were forced to suffer through their life because they had no support or understanding whatsoever. But sure, Janice, pretend my generation invented autism. Yeah, just because there isn't language for something yet doesn't mean it's not a thing, really. Like, so many illnesses, like physical illnesses, were only like diagnosable later too. You just didn't have the words for it. You just knew people just somehow randomly died sometimes, right? You think people don't have heart attacks or had heart attacks or like aneurysms or whatever back in the day and just didn't have a word for it. Sometimes just people randomly died. It just happens, you know. Maybe they had bad thoughts or something. It just pushed it off to that. Just because there is no language for something yet, or it isn't like diagnosable, it doesn't mean it's not real, you know? Being neurodivergent and misdiagnosed as just depressed or anxious is people telling you that the things you perceive as brick walls are made of paper mache, and you keep hurling yourself at them again and again until you lie bleeding on the ground because they were actually brick walls. Yeah, it's literally just people being like, you need to try harder. Like, everyone can do it, you know, you're just being lazy, or you just have to pull yourself together. Literally. My God. I mean, again, trust me, a lot of neurodivergent people wish things that you say are easy and everyone can do them. They wish it was easy for them because they're the ones struggling to do the thing. How do you expect every person on this planet to kind of function the same and to be able to do the same things and find the same things easy or interesting even? Like, how do you expect that to happen, you know? Okay, sometimes I love having too little sleep because my brain is like, yes, I'm too tired to think of 10 things at the same time, and that is my ADHD medication. And it's so sad if it doesn't work. Again, because sometimes it works really well and you're just kind of tired. So you just kind of can focus better because your brain's just like not so loud. But then sometimes you have too little sleep and you're just so tired you can't get your brain to do anything at all. Or you just get anxious. I didn't mention it. This is brain, please. This is the only thing that can happen if you have too little sleep. Okay? Good. I love the ADHD thing, where brain demands a very specific and simultaneously very vague type of stimulation, and you can't figure out what it is. It's like, it's only defined in negatives, not this. No, not that. And you have to play a very much not fun game of elimination until you scratch the itch. Oh, it's so frustrating. It's like, okay, you want to do something. Do the thing. And she's like, okay, what is the thing? Just like, I'm not gonna tell you. You know, go figure out what the thing is. Go do the thing. And then it's like, okay, maybe we want to read the book we've been meaning to read. But then you read like one word and your brain's already zoning out. Just like, okay, that's not it. And then you do several things, and maybe you find the thing you really want to do but don't know what it is. Or maybe you won't. I really hope you do. How's life? Oh yeah, everything's on tracks, thanks. The tracks. Well, as long as you're still kind of going forward on the tracks, I think it's kind of okay. Like, sure, it could probably be more stable, and it could probably be going better. But I'm trying to be optimistic here. It could be a lot worse, right? The tracks are still sort of intact. Like, you'll manage, somehow. You know? Me, who just did my chores. Okay, when do I get to have dopamine? My ADHD brain. That's the neat part. You don't. Yeah, literally. Because even yesterday, I was so anxious and I had to tidy up. And then I did like several things that have been bothering me. Like, there were like still boxes from my monitors that I need for my homework equipment and stuff. And I put those away like neatly so I don't see them every day anymore. And I did like a few other things. But my brain was just like, no. Like, cool that you got it done, but no dopamine for you. I'm sorry. And then you just end up being annoyed. Why? Just why? I used to think it was big of me that I didn't hold grudges, but then I realized I just have ADHD and simply cannot remember what happened. Honestly, I can kind of understand, but I can still hold grudges in a way. I don't really hold grudges, I don't know how I even do it, but as soon as someone like pisses me off enough, and it's not they said like one thing I don't like, but I can just turn off liking someone so incredibly quickly. Like, they just like fall off, and then either, depending on how bad it is, I either just hate them and everything they do makes me mad, or I just don't manage to produce any kind of emotion for them. And it's kind of weird, because then sometimes I don't even remember what happened. And like, I'm not even gonna remember what the specific thing was they said. I just know that I don't vibe with this person. So I don't really hold grudges, but I do, even if I don't remember what happened. So, yeah. Doing what I need to do, doing what I want to do. Me, somehow doing neither. Well, I wish you getting at least one thing you want to do, and one thing you need to do done today. I hope it's not already like evening and you're lying in bed. In that case, go brush your teeth, because you have to go brush your teeth, and go drink some water, and then do something you enjoy. I don't know. Play a game or something that you enjoy. I don't know. Sorry I didn't answer. I was on TikTok watching someone restock their fridge and put things in clear containers for like the last 2 hours. My bad, bro. And then your TikTok algorithm's gonna be so screwed. I feel like if you have ADHD, it's probably gonna be all over the place a lot of the time anyways. Because then you just get like super focused on one thing. But then, because my first TikTok account, I hardly even use it anymore. I am so far down neurodivergent and like mental health TikTok on that one. But then like a year ago, I started watching like almost exclusively K-pop, and it took like 2 or 3 months and I still didn't get anything on my For You page about it. So I just eventually created a new account because I was frustrated with it. Oh wow, and now I have 3 TikTok accounts because I also have one for this channel. I don't post a lot. If you want to check it out, go check it out. But someone restocking their fridge and like tidying things and decluttering things always is it's so fascinating to me. Not like fascinating, but it just feels really good. It feels really good, you know? Okay, sometimes lying is okay. Sometimes honesty is rude. Neurotypicals. And then it's so vague. It's so vague because no one can like give you clear rules on when lying is okay and when it absolutely isn't okay. And then you just kind of have to figure it out. And it's kind of really hard to figure out if you... Well, probably. Is it easy to figure out for neurotypicals? Because I feel like maybe it just seems so random to me because I'm not. But it seems... I don't know. Is it easy for anyone? But it makes no sense, guys. Come on. But acting neurotypical is like for autistic people. Jesse, listen to me. Remember your training. But I don't have any training. Yeah, well, go wing it. It might go incredibly well. If you don't know what you're doing, it can go so incredibly well. But quite often it probably won't. I'm gonna be honest, it probably... Not having training can be a hard thing to do, you know? Because for a lot of things you just do need the training. Because winging it doesn't have the best success ratio, I guess. Yeah, that was all the memes I have for today. Because I could have more. I already have a folder for my next video for neurotypical memes. Because I have too many. I just have entirely too many. But oh well. We'll get around to them eventually. But anyways, I hope you had fun. I hope you're hydrated, because if not, you probably just got your water and then it's still standing there. Go drink it now. Don't leave it there for 3 days. Just drink it now. Come on. And then I will be back in 3 days with my next video.